Time for Building Momentum, brought to you by Momentum Advocacy. If your organization, business, or corporation needs to understand the complex nature of our capital, you need to get a hold of Momentum Advocacy. Let's talk about what's going on in Minnesota today.
Love having her on the program. She is Amy Koch with Momentum Advocacy. Amy, how are you?
I am wonderful, and good morning now.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Momentum Advocacy if we can, because how long you guys been in business? You got hundreds of years of knowledge because you get together. But how long has Momentum Advocacy been around?
Well, it's a rebrand in 2025, but it's been around since 2016.
All right.
But yes, we got. It makes me feel very old, Al. But we've got hundreds of years.
That's what. And I didn't want to shortchange you like you're just some fly by night. You guys got a lot of power going together on your organization, but you're relatively new, and that's going to come up when we talk about what I want to talk about when we get there. But let's get to Momentum Advocacy. If there are organizations out there, big, small, I don't think you guys you'll help them all.
Yes.
Is those that think they have stuff they want to do. I mean, we're going to get legislative session coming up. They think they want to get something done, but they got to decide, do we buy a lobbyist, and are we that big, or what do we do? They start with you. You'd get them where they need to be?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so a couple things I'd recommend, like if people have like things that, it's just funny. People say, well, I'm not really into politics. I was like, well, politics are into you. Because unfortunately it impacts everything about our homes, our families, our businesses.
Yep.
It is deeply widespread. And as a Republican, I can, assign a value to that. But as a lobbyist, it's just a fact. And so, I think that we help big associations. We help, big corporate entities. But I have literally worked on a driver's ed issue for a company that did driver's ed training, and we don't really think about big or small clients.
Yeah,
we just have clients and we love on them all.
What hit me was sorry. Last time you were on, you were working for the Minnesota Outstate Museums Association or some. I mean, it was like I didn't even know it existed, and you're helping him get stuff done. That's what I mean. You don't have to be 3M, right? I mean, you can be that little conglomerate.
You can be. And, a lot of people try to go it alone, and I get it.
No.
And you might even have a legislator that's like, hey, I really want to help you on this. But they have thousands of bills they have to deal with. You can't, it's really hard, unfortunately, again, to navigate. It's hard from a transparency standpoint. Things have gotten, it's just a real, and I know lobbyists, people lobbyists, they can sometimes have a bad name, but the truth is, I just help get things done. I know people, I know where to go. I know how to track the committees. I know how to get a bill dropped. Things like that, like get a bill jacketed and put in the hopper.
Yeah.
Who knows how to do that? People have lives. They don't.
How does it walk me through it? Al's group of little radio knotheads want to get together and get something passed. I call Momentum Advocacy and I say, I don't know if I'm big enough. I know this thing should be changed. I really like it to get there. What do I do next? Is there, and I'm going to put you on the spot, free consultation? You'll find out if I even have a shot at this thing. Okay, that is. Okay.
100%. We'll have a conversation because I don't want to waste your time or your money at all. Like that is just, and I think you would find that with most lobbyists, right? Like first I got to determine, is what you want changed even possible? And then you start building like, okay, well, what committees do we need to talk to? What chairs do we need to get to? Who do you know? We power map, like, well, who you actually know some folks that could be helpful. And then we try to make you seem bigger, right? We find allies that would be like, hey, who else would agree with this? It's not just the little radio nuts. It's the, it's ampers or it's,
the broadcast engineers.
Engineers would love this. And then I know who lobbies for them, and I contact that lobbyist and we say, let's work together on this. And that's how it goes. Yeah.
But then how do I guess I'm trying to get into if I were doing this, what would happen for me? So then, I get with Amy and she's, I think she understands what I want. And she's already talked to 2 other people. We're getting somewhere. But how do I know when the end is? I guess my point is, so how much do I got to save up? How much do I got to put in? Is there some guesstimate? I mean, you can't say I'll have this done by the 3rd week of February,
No, you got to, and you can't, you really have to, because so much gets done in the last end of session. you're in
Yeah.
for the session, right? It's
All right.
very seldom that you get something done mid-session now because they put
Okay.
everything in an omnibus.
Yeah.
And you know what? I will tell people, assume it's going to take you 2 to 3 sessions to get it done.
Okay.
That's a fast track. State government is fast.
Okay.
Federal government, you can spend a decade trying to get an amendment passed that you ain't going to
Gotcha.
get passed.
Okay.
And so I say 2 to 3 sessions, plan on it. We've gotten things done in one session. We have, like it
Yeah.
happens. But the state, that path is not slow. And there are no
Yeah.
guarantees. I've had bills. I've been in omnibus bills that just never got a final vote.
Yeah.
You could be all the way to what feels like the finish line. You could be at the 1 yard line, and like last night, the Rams got a fumble on the 1 yarder. Right,
Yeah.
that can happen at state government level.
All right. So, wow, way to throw football in. I love that. On the other hand, though, but then it isn't an unopened checkbook. You and I would be having that conversation on a regular. This is what it's going to take and where we're going to go. You know, I guess I'm trying to look for what would scare me if I got into that mix. Because, like you say,
Sure.
I don't know anything about it. I know Senator Koch does. Been there, done that. You did give me a pretty darn good ballpark on what this would cost from beginning to end, and no guarantees. I mean, I understand that.
No guarantees, but I can tell you, and there's not exactly a science to it. It's a little bit more. It's a bit of art. It's a bit of science.
It's an art, yeah.
But I can give you an idea, and also,
Okay.
like I said, if it's going to be too hard, we're just going to talk about that too and be like,
Yeah.
this one, too many headwinds against you, right? Political
Yep.
reality is this,
Very
and if this changes, maybe we go back at it, but political reality is this.
So would you like that to all start with a phone call to your front desk, or would you like them to go to momentumadvocacy.com and
My mobile's on
put in?
there. Yep.
It is. Oh, okay.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, you can just call me.
Wow, I thought it was something special to have your number. Nuts. Okay.
You are special, but
You're such a good senator. All right, now this got you in my trap, by the way, because of what's got me. So you guys start rebranding Momentum Advocacy. When this company started, I will bet you dollars for donuts, you had to fill out a lot of paperwork. Had to register with the state. You had to be registered as a lobbyist. You had things you had to do, correct?
correct.
And it wasn't easy. You maybe even hired somebody that did it, some guy who knows how to start business. I don't know how you did yours.
Right.
But today, I don't know, it won't be the final fraud, I guarantee it. But this fraud comes out today in the news, and I'm devastated. We've given out $20 million in 2024 to nonprofits that weren't registered. What do you got to do? Just say, hey, I'm Al. I'm a nonprofit. Send me money. How can that possibly be true, Senator?
It's just ongoing, right? And it's nonprofits, it's businesses that have been set up just to
Steal from us.
fraud. Like it is for profit, it is nonprofit. This thing goes so deep, and it just keeps going. And then I find it very interesting because then the administration is saying, okay, well, we're just cutting off this program, which I get, but actually you don't allocate the dollars. You can't actually do that. The legislature does that. So because everybody's kind of after Trump about well, he can't, that's not constitutional. Well, that's the same thing on a state level. I cannot for the life of me understand what is happening at a state government level that there hasn't been scrutiny on these organizations that are coming forward for this money. And and there's common denominators, and it is just endless. It is millions and millions and millions. This 20 million it's like a drop in the bucket compared to the literally hundreds of millions that have gone out the door. And I just don't get it.
But you run a business, and guess what gets me? Everything you do with the government, you got to put your TIN number down or your social security. You got to. They know who you are. You look it up. I likened to this young lady. Was it last Friday? Get lost in all the scandals. Who had made $14 million in autism scandals?
Yes,
didn't exist as a business in 2022, but by 2024, she's making $14 million on the state of Minnesota.
Right
now. My accountant told me when I had a very good year, whatever year it was, he goes, by the way, that's going to probably red flag you, and they're going to probably, you might get talked to. I said, are we cheating my taxes? No. They said, okay, I don't care. I had a good year. But he warned me about it because those are red flags. How does a business that doesn't exist go from zero to $14 million, all state money, and isn't a red flag by the IRS, the Minnesota Department of Revenue?
How are they not red flagged at 200,000?
Thank you. That's my
Right?
point.
Like that's so much money, $200,000. I would think that would red flag you and I. And this is the other thing, and that's a business, right? The reason like your and my businesses, right? We get red flagged at that, right? We get red flagged at $500,000, $14 million. I can't even imagine. I wouldn't have the. It would just be. But I know nonprofits that like they have endless paperwork as nonprofits when they get state money. I know state grant process. They have people that they have to hire just to process the paperwork. The folks that want to do it right are just like buried in it and or red flagged as a business. And then but these criminals who are willing to just falsify things and whatever, just somehow are just slipping through for millions of dollars. It's not small. I
don't know.
$300. Like if it was $300, I'd be like, oh, how are they going to catch that? They're not. They got they've programs are $100 million programs. They're not going to catch $5,000. I'll give you that. 14 million.
But see that we're just looking at it's the Titanic thing, right? We're only looking at the tip of the iceberg. Those that were so flippin' greedy, they went for the 250 million in feeding our futures. If they all just stuck around that 100K mark and just did it for year after year, no one would ever notice. We're only seeing that. But when you get to a point where $20 million, and I know that's small potatoes in the big government scheme of things, didn't even have to have a business. They weren't even registered. They just said, I'm out. Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
Yes.
When George came up with the human fund,
yes.
That's all you had to do. It's the human fund. Okay, we'll send you money. It can't be that easy, Senator. It
shouldn't be that easy. It should. I thought you were going to go with Vandalay Industries. I thought you were going to go with Vandalay Industries.
That was okay. Seinfeld was ahead of its time. I'm going to give
it really was.
we got to go to break. I've got Senator Amy Koch on. We're building momentum with Momentum Advocacy.
When the stakes are high at the Minnesota Capitol, you need more than a lobbyist. You need a partner. At Momentum Advocacy, we bring nearly 90 years of combined experience in government relations, public affairs, and strategic communications. From nonprofits to national corporations, we help organizations navigate Minnesota's political landscape with integrity, insight, and results. Whether you need legislative champions or headlines, Momentum Advocacy delivers. For more, visit momentum-advocacy.com. Momentum Advocacy, your friends at the Capitol.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com. kidding me?
You know that comment you said to the radio? The thing that we got wrong?
Clearly, Brussels sprouts are the worst vegetable.
Call us and let the world know your thoughts. 855-257-7469. That's 855-ALS Show.
We've got Senator Amy Koch with us from Momentum Advocacy, and we're talking building momentum. Senator, a couple of quick hitters just to see if you watch. I know you've got a lot going on this week, so not free get out of jail card. Did you happen to watch the precarious state last night? The video everyone was talking about?
I have not yet, and so I'm sorry I can't talk about. Yes,
Nope.
it's my wedding week, Al.
I didn't watch. It's your wedding weekend. I didn't watch it last night. I taped it. I plan on watching it this weekend. I can't change everything, so that's fine. I would just ask you this: between the precarious state and what we understand this thing is about, and the fall of Minneapolis that was done by the Collins gal
Yes,
from Alpha
Liz
News.
Collins.
Liz, thank you.
Collins, yeah.
Not a lot of states, as I understand it, are having these kind of exposés coming out about how bad things are going. Is this a trend? Is it just two people, rogue people, that just got a bad idea? Or is there some real things we need to look at in the mirror?
I think Minnesota's got to take a really long look in the mirror, and you know, and in particularly like our big city like Minneapolis. And I know I come from Greater Minnesota, right? I come from Buffalo, and I think there's a lot of folks in Greater Minnesota that sort of say, "Well, what do I care? Minneapolis, let them go." But Minneapolis is an economic driver for our state, like no other. Right? I mean, as goes Minneapolis, so goes us. It's a huge economic development boost. All our big stadiums are there. We have all of us have a vested interest in the success of that city. Very much so. So it's, you can say, well, I live in Hastings. I don't care. I live in Austin. I don't give
Blue
a
Earth,
rip. Yeah, but it does matter because it is an economic driver for our state. And frankly, it's the largest population center for our state. And it's what people, like if you're looking out and looking in and you see, things happening. So we have a vested interest. And I know it can be frustrating because we don't get a vote on their city council. We don't get to know.
Mayor.
They got a new mayor coming up. Like, we're not going to have a say in that. But overall, from a state level, legislators and the governor himself, they need to be making sure that these sort of things, these bad stories, these things that are happening are not. That was the thing that was so frustrating when you watched Minneapolis burn, right? I just kept thinking, where is the governor? I remember newscasters on the ground saying, where is the governor on this, right? Like, bring in the guard. This is so beyond anything that the Minneapolis PD can possibly handle. And it took 5 days to get there. And it was just not, that's, I think, a lot of the frustration that people have.
Let's roll on with one last, maybe you know, maybe you don't, but you'll give me the inside. You bring up the governor. Tim Walz, the governor, announced that his chief of staff, Chris Smitter, is leaving at the end of the month. Deputy chief of staff, Patrick Tanis, I think that's how he's going to take the job. Seems a little strange to me as you just start another election campaign, the third one that people would be leaving. On the other hand, maybe Chris said, I signed up for 8 years. I don't need any more. Is this a sign of anything, or is it just this what happens?
Yeah, I think this is what happens. This is interesting because 8 years is a very long time to be chief of staff for a governor. And Chris Schmitter goes back with Governor Walz to his Congress days. And even further than that, I believe Chris Schmitter was a student of Tim Walz.
Wow.
Yeah. So they have been together for a very, very long time. I expect that in this case, somebody else said to me, is like, oh, well, is this, someone leaving the ship? I was like, no. Chris has been there for a very, very long time. He has certainly paid his, his dues for king and country. And I think he's just saying, like, look, this is a new start. And Patrick has been there for a long time too. I know Patrick. I don't see this shakeup.
Okay.
Not even a shakeup to me. I'm actually amazed that Chris hung in there for 8 years, and not because of the governor. Like, it's just a very long time to be in a governor's staff and run it. So
I think the average, it still holds true. The average person holds his job for 7 years and then you move on. In politics, it's much shorter than that because of all the high pressure stakes. Senator, thank you. And again, we're not trying to make a comment out of that. We just read it. I think it's a great news story. Senator Amy Koch, I thank you for being on this program. I really do.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Al. Love it.
It's, of course, building momentum with Momentum Advocacy.
And that's another Building Momentum with Momentum Advocacy. Your friends at the Capitol. Join us every other week to discuss all things Minnesota with Building Momentum with